Well, it's...
Oh, you took the label.
Yeah, we take the label. Okay, Coach, congratulations on the win. If you'd like to make an opening comment or two.
Well, what a heck of a game, huh? Between two gutty teams, great atmosphere, unbelievable hospitality. I think it was really fun for our players, our fans, to come to Texas where football is so prominent and play an amazing, storied program like the Texas Longhorns. They play with class, they play hard, and it was a heck of a game, man. I'm sure that everyone watching at home loved it. I know everyone in the stadium loved it, and you know, we were fortunate to get away with a win, and we'll take it. And we're gonna get on that plane real fast before they change their mind. But my hat's off to Coach Strong in Texas for the way they played with integrity and class and hard and physical, and my hat's off to our young men in our locker room. You know, they never flinched, they never blinked. And that's kind of what we are trying to become, and we're getting closer and closer every day. So, man, what a great experience to be able to come here and do this.
Okay, Coach, we'll take questions from the floor. Who's got the first question? We got a question on the front, right here in the middle, and if you name and affiliation, please.
Andy Friedlander with the LA Daily News. Talking about Hundley and his injury, and from our perspective, I mean, that looks like a worst-case scenario. What were your thoughts when you see him coming off the field?
Well, your first concern is for Brett. It's his left elbow. It will get further evaluated when we get back to UCLA. We have the finest medical staff in America. You know, talk about UCLA Medical Centers, where they take the president. All right, if you're west of the Mississippi, so they're going to take Brett Hundley there, and they're going to evaluate him. And my first thought was excitement for Jerry Neuheisel. I mean, this kid is everything that's right about college football and about UCLA. I mean, he bleeds blue and blue. And I just thought, wow, you couldn't write a better script than this right here. You know, his dad was a great player here. That family is a UCLA family. And for him to come to Texas and bring his team from behind to get a win, just, I mean, it's incredible. It's awesome. And Jerry told me, he said, I was nervous, and I said, you know what, I wasn't, because I watched you every day, and I watched you prepared. I know how smart you are, and I know your lineage, and I know how your dad taught you. And I think it all paid off for him tonight, and I'm just so happy for him and the rest of our players.
Other questions for Coach? Got a question on the front?
Brian Carchios, your registered. Jim, some guy. Jim, can you talk about Paul Perkins, what he kind of meant to the offense, keep it going, especially after Brett went out? Yeah,
you know, Perk ran the ball well, and I think that he'd be the first to tell you that it's a credit to the guys up front, the guys blocking for him. But he also caught the ball well. You know, he did a nice job on the screen plays, and I think he had 69 yards or something receiving, over 120 carrying the ball. And he's a guy that's very dependable. You know, he fumbled the ball there at the end. I'm sure that all the great things that he did in the game, that will gnaw him until he gets a chance to touch it again. And so, you know, that's 3 good games for Paul. He just keeps getting stronger and stronger. We love seeing that.
Got a question on the front left. She's coming right here.
Tracy Pearson with Scout.com. Second half seemed like there was a momentum change. More energy, wore them down a little. What happened there? What'd you say to them at halftime?
Well, I just think that it was, I felt like it was going to be a little bit of a defining moment for us, at least early in the season. I mean, there's many defining moments as you go through a season, but that was one. You know, was it 10-3 at half? I think it was, and we were down, and our backup quarterback's in there, and we're on the road, and you can say what you want about this being a neutral site. That was a Texas crowd, although our fans were unbelievable, and we heard them, and we felt them the whole game. We just felt like this was an opportunity for us to put all the work that we've done over the course of the last year or 3 years on display, and really prove it to ourselves beyond anyone else what this team was made of. And I think that we went out and did that.
Got a question in the middle right.
Jen Welter, USA Football. Coach, you have been known over the last couple of years to have an outstanding O-line. Struggled a little bit in the last 2 games, and even in the first half today. But the second half, it was like a whole different O-line. Did you change something? What did you say to him?
You know, we just ran the ball better, and you know, when you're running the ball effectively, you can wear an opponent out. And I'm not saying we wore Texas out, but I'm saying it inspires your team when you're running the ball well. You know, it gives you energy, it gives you juice. It's what football is meant to be, you know. Hard-nosed, smash-mouth football, and I think we were able to do that. And, you know, our offensive line, yeah, they love to pass protect, okay, but they would rather just fire up and knock somebody off the ball, and I thought that they did a nice job of that. So we didn't really change anything, just a little bit of the emphasis. More on the run.
Got a question front left.
Brandon Huffman, Scott.com. Coach, they had the defer in the first half, and then they decided to kick it off. You guys got it again the second half, scored. How important first was it to get that touchdown to start the second half? But you've seen that play 2 years ago against Arizona State.
Well, I had trouble believing it at first, and I told the official, I asked him probably 4 or 5 times, I said, are you sure? Are you sure? You know, and he said, yeah, you did start the second half as well. And had we not come out and, like you said, put a drive together with Perk breaking that big one early and scored points, it probably would have been irrelevant, but it became very relevant. And then it helped us win that game tonight. We were able to steal a possession without taking the ball away. And you know, I'm not exactly sure what went on out there, but we were the beneficiaries, and we'll take it.
Got a question on the front, left side.
Hey, Coach, it seemed like there was a little uncertainty whether Brett might come back there for a while. Was there consideration that he might return?
Not really. They went in, they x-rayed him. And, you know, like I said, we have amazing medical staff. Our doctors, Dr. McAllister, I was with him at halftime when he was talking to Brett and explaining the injury and what they thought and what they could and could not see, and the risks, reward. And we just decided that it was best for Brett not to play. I mean, he was begging to get back in there, but it wouldn't have been the right thing to do to put him in there. You know, no, we'll go back to Westwood and we'll get an MRI tomorrow, and then I'll be able to tell you guys what's going on from there. Can I go back to Brett though? You know, a lot of guys in that situation might mope, feel sorry for themselves, you know. And I don't know if you guys watched Brett on the sidelines, but you couldn't have found anyone on that sideline that was more encouraging than Brett. He was doing the signals, and he was talking to Jerry, he was encouraging the offensive line and the receivers, and that's what makes him, it's one of the things that makes him so special, his character. He's an amazing young man, amazing young man.
Question on the front.
Jim, can you talk about that last scoring play and Jerry's throw and just what was happening on that play? Well,
our guys in the box were doing an excellent job of identifying coverage and what they were doing, and we started to get a little bit of a bead on tendencies, which sometimes you do, sometimes you don't, and sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong. And we thought that they would play man, and so Noel dialed up a double move, and Jordan Payton sold it, and Jerry lofted it in there. The protection was excellent, and you know, we guessed right on that one. That's a kind of football when you're calling plays. It's a game of guessing, and like Noel says, hey, you know, I'm just going to call them. You guys go make them work, and they made it work on that one.
Question outside, Rob.
Hey, Jim, before you even got to Texas, what about Jerry? Did you know and see that you felt like this is a guy that could get us through a game?
He's a coach's kid, you know. He's a coach's kid. He grew up in this game. You know, we're the same, man. We're the same people. You know, and that's what we talked about the first week I took this job when, you know, this was going to be a hard transition for a guy like Jerry. His dad, who's a legend here, had been released, you know, and that's the game of football. That's the sport that we're in. It's tough. It happens. And but Jerry has never, ever, ever, ever let that get in the way of being an amazing young man, an amazing teammate, team member, and I just have confidence in him. You know, you guys know it. I tell you all the time. I think he can go out there and he can get it done for us. He's like his dad on the field. I mean, you know, he's something. There's something in there, man, that you can't coach it. Grow up with it.
We got a question on the front.
Yeah, you mentioned Hundley on the sideline. I noticed he had the headsets on. What was he doing? I mean, as far as
he was signaling. So he wasn't calling any plays. So he wasn't calling any plays. Noel was calling the plays, but he was signaling. So he would hear the play. He would hear the call from Noel, and then he was signaling either to Jerry or the near receivers, sometimes the far receivers. We just have a system in place, and so he was a part of the system. Essentially what he did is he took Jerry's place. And Jerry took his place, and they both functioned well, and we got to win. That's what being a team's all about.
And the other thing was Malcolm Bunch at the end of the game came limping off. What's his status?
I don't know. He went back in. You know, those final couple plays there. And just like everyone else, we get him reevaluated as well. We had some young men step up today because of injury. You know, Anthony Jefferson sprained his ankle before the game, couldn't play. Julio Woodard stepped in there and played. Fabian Moreau hurt his elbow. Jalen Ortiz stepped in there. You know, Tahan Goodman stepped in there for Randall Goforth. You know, that's what you do. You know, you step up, next guy gets up and starts playing, and you rally around him.
Got a question on the outside?
Skyler Dixon with the Associated Press. Since you knew Brett probably wasn't coming back, did you have any words of wisdom for Jerry, pulling aside or anything, or just know that kind of takes care of itself?
There was no Rudy moments, no Hoosier moments. Just Jerry, you know, just go do what you do. You know, he knew we all had confidence in him. I mean, that team, the thing about Jerry is his team freaking loves him. You know, I mean, they love him, and they have great confidence in him. And so there was never any doubt. There was never any, oh, God, Jerry's in there. It was like, hey, Jerry's in there. It's going to be awesome, man. That's how it was. And it ended up being that way.
Question in the aisle.
Yes, Coach. Greg Ford, CNS Media. How important was it to have the offensive line, have an experienced offensive line out there in front of Jerry in a situation like that, such as Jake Brendel at center? How much easier did it just have, did that make the whole situation when he came in?
I mean, probably if you hadn't asked that question, it would have been probably one of the most overlooked and critical variables in this game. You know, having Malcolm, having Jake snapping to him, you know, having some guys in there in Alex and Scott Quisenberry and Caleb who now have some games under their belt. I think it gave us all just a sense of comfort. And they did an excellent job all night. And, you know, early we struggled a little pass pro, but once we settled down, we ran the ball well, and that always going to help you throw the ball.
Final question for Coach while you're on the front.
Coach, you talk a little bit about that special teams over here, the return and that Cameron Judge block.
Well, Cameron was a little bit frustrated through the night, and I think you guys might have seen where he and Ish had a discussion. It wasn't contentious at all. On the previous punt return, Cameron really didn't attack his guy. What we did on that one is we were kind of a return team when it comes to punts. We rushed that one. We had a call on. We were trying to block it, and so we have what's called a bench return. We were just peeling off, and when you're the first guy down there, man, that's what you look to do. You look for a guy who's not looking, and you hit him legally, and you hit him clean, and you know, anytime Ish gets the ball in his hands, good things can happen. They're not always going to happen, but they certainly can. All right, thanks everybody. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Coach.